then regarding how you're approaching trends in your own cooking and your own creativity, probably seeing, but how are you responding to specialty, molecular, special technique? I know, Kory, you had talked about some food going back to more rustic, and that doesn't mean that it's less special, that people are spending more time to actually make the food, make it properly, or the way it should have been made rather than a quick version. Can you speak about those trends from a chef's point of view in cooking?
Sure. So I think the molecular gastronomy, as it's called, which I think is kind of an unfortunate name because I think food is supposed to be appealing at the most basic sort of instinct level, and the idea of molecular, that doesn't make me hungry. I don't know about you guys. So, but I do understand, and I really have a lot of respect for the chefs that are driving this movement, because it's people that are experimenting, that are willing to try new things and employ techniques and use ingredients in different ways. And sometimes it works. I think I've also seen a lot of examples of it not working, but that's how cuisine ultimately moves forward. And even, we don't experiment with it that much, but there is an osmotic effect of people that have experimented and posted on blogs, or people that trained in their kitchens and now work in my kitchen, and we learn about these things, and some of them also have the staying power to become a part of cuisine. I mean, if you think about it, like once upon a time when gas ovens didn't exist and they first came around, they must have seemed really forward thinking. And a lot of other things like baking powder. I mean, when that first came around and had the ability to leaven bread magically, that probably seemed pretty forward, like this molecular stuff too. So I think things like xanthan gum and lecithin and other additives that you can use to create certain textures in food have applications, even if you are serving, rustic Italian food like the food that we do. Sometimes, if you're making a reduction sauce and it tastes exactly where you want it to be, but you don't want to reduce it any further as you would in classic French cuisine until you get the body.
I have no appreciation for molecular gastronomy. I think foam is goofy unless it's on my cappuccino.
I kind of mix and mingle with it. The thing about like the whole thickening of sauce, I think it's cooler if you could do something like use beef tendon to thicken your sauce as opposed to having to use xanthan gum. But I do appreciate vacuuming vegetables and sous videing them, because I don't have to add water to them, and they're only cooking in their own water. And I could bag parsnips with some butter and salt, or truffle salt, or whatever I want to put in there, and cook it, and I don't have to put it in water. So for me, I'm actually retaining that vegetable's identity and not having to take any of the vitamins out of it. So for that, I love. Although I was so anti putting any kind of product in a bag, but it's actually, I think it's pretty cool that I don't have to blanch Brussels sprouts in water, So that I really like, and I like to be able to infuse things into different vegetables and meats. And I'm sorry, but if you sous vide chicken breast with some herbs and some duck fat, that is going to be the bomb chicken breast. And then I do like to use Activa, which is it's a natural substance. It's made from sea kelp, and it's actually a meat glue. And in certain things, it can be really cool if you're going to do a lot or something like that. But I'm with Bob on foams. I think foams are only for cappuccinos.
San Francisco doesn't seem to want it anyways.
No. The idea of the article was approachable molecular cuisine. And because we were seeing so many slow-cooked diets and, that whole trend of vacuum packing and sous videing, yada, yada, and using the molecular gastronomy tools and xanthan gum and things of the sort in restaurants where you would never guess it. It's not Alinea, it's not Moto. You're not seeing, super aggressive preparations. It comes out looking rustic and looking approachable. But chefs are really embracing it. But as soon as I would call a restaurant and they, I'd ask to speak with the chef, and I would say, the article is on molecular gastronomy. So no, we don't want to be associated with that. That's not what we do. We don't do foams. We don't do this and that. And so, we definitely had a difficult time labeling it because it has, and maybe this is just in the California or it's more particular to the California dining scene, but there's definitely a stigma to.
You all work for hotels, obviously, work at a hotel, so let's talk about your food and your job and how you approach it in regards to the hotel. Do you have room service, or do you contribute to that? What are your theories on this?
We, I work for Kimpton, and they just started a nationwide it's now called in-room dining. We don't call it room service anymore. And we've brought on a consultant. Her name's Joy Bauer. It's a healthy menu that a bunch of the chefs submitted recipes, and then they came up with this menu. So there's this trend to like really improve in-room dining with Kimpton. But I have to say, I don't know if anyone's from Kimpton here, but we just had our executive committee meeting, and we all discussed how room service has never been successful. It never will be successful, and it's kind of a luxury if you're alone and you're traveling and you can put your feet up and watch cable TV and get a club sandwich and drink a beer. That's awesome, but no one really wants to be in their room, especially in a boutique hotel where your room is kind of tiny, and people want to just go out. So I personally think that room service is a waste of time.
And there's no money in it.
There's no money in it.
We found at the hotel when we streamlined our menus, like I said, we've blown away our budgeted numbers for room service. I mean, by last year, something like $75,000. We sold more in room service than what we planned on. So we were actually concerned when we streamlined the menu that we were going to sell less, and we found it had the different effect. Part of that is just because we have approachable cuisine. I think frequently people want comfort food when they're in their rooms. So we're able to deliver some of that on our menu, but we're able to create or serve people in their rooms, restaurant-style food. It's the exact same food, the exact same cook that's making it, and it's only being delivered up to the room. So we found that it's had a positive effect streamlining our menu.
Okay, we'll have to come to room service at your place. Or I'm sorry, in-room dining
That's
at
what
your
we call
place.
it too.
Bernie, yeah.
Room service can be not necessarily profitable. It will not be a drain on the curriculum if it's properly set up and if it's not thought of by management as something they have to do. Putting it this way, people come to your hotel for many, many reasons. And just like a buffet breakfast, I like to make this comment. If you're going to have a complimentary breakfast, be sure people are going to compliment you on it, even though it's a pain in the neck, and we all know that. The same thing is true of room service. It can be done, it can be done in a way that doesn't drain your dollars, and it can leave a good impression on your hotel.
Okay, next year Bernie's on the panel.
Just come up here.
Speaking of money, I know you had all sort of mentioned the recession, so let's talk about that for a few minutes. I'm hearing rumors that people think it's over or it's ending. Are you seeing anything about that? And if it is over, what's the first thing that's going to change?
I mean, if our volume coming into the restaurant, wine purchases and amount people are spending on dinners and just pure covers is any indication, then I'd say yes from our perspective. But I wouldn't be so confident to say that it's over. I mean, people are talking about double dips, and we're not out of the woods yet, but our numbers have come back significantly from where they were 2 years ago.
I find it hard to predict right now because, like Bob, we both run restaurants that are in Union Square, which has a tremendous amount of foot traffic. We just got through the holiday shopping. And we just had JP Morgan. I'm leery to make any predictions until the end of January, but it does seem to be positive. And I think 2010 was definitely shadowed out. It's getting better. Crossing the fingers.
I was very optimistic for last year, and so I'm going to be way more cautious this year. It's wait and see. So we're going to just keep doing what we're doing, and so far so good, but I think it's too early to tell.